technically my first recurring guest on this show.
Really?
Yeah. So
Oh yeah.
for those who don't know, this gentleman here is Retro Halo,
Yes, sir.
and he actually took part in an interview what I had with another gentleman by the name of Wiz Yadik. Technically, it was his interview, but Wiz was gracious enough to have Halo alongside with him, so we got to know him. And you are returning to the show, and you're the first guest to actually return from a previous podcast. So bravo.
All right, bet. Wow, nice to know. Thank you.
Already breaking barriers.
I appreciate it.
So, to give you guys a summary, Retro is part of a collective called GOGTRS.
Which is why I was on that interview.
Yeah, was that part of the interview? He's from the Boston area. From if I recall correctly, you're from the Roxbury, Alston. You kind of grew up from different areas, but
yeah.
Those are the areas.
Both Roxbury and Alston and Brighton mainly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you what I was telling you guys is that you guys are very multidimensional when it comes to your creative expression. When it comes to the drip, when it comes to the music and the aesthetic.
I don't look really not special right now,
but that's still that's a dope sweatshirt though, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Fuck with it.
You know,
like
but when it comes time to step up and show out and stunt, you know what I mean? You have no problem doing what you need to do.
Definitely.
And another thing that really drew me to your guys' music, the fact that you guys are very authentic and genuine, and in the music industry, that's very, very fake.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term. It's very refreshing to kind of see, a group of guys going into it being who they are.
I mean, it's just we already know what we want out of it. We already know what we want to deliver.
Sure.
So
just doing it.
You know what I mean? What else do we have to do other than what we want to do?
And as simple as you make it sound, that's not always the case.
I know that isn't always the case.
People feel like they have to be a certain way, act a certain way, talk a certain way, pretend to be from a certain place in order to be accepted in this industry.
Now you're just doing too much.
You're doing too much.
Literally.
And people see right through that. But
I see oh my God, I see right through that.
And you immediately
Crazy.
You don't respect it, right? You just
I just be like, what are you doing? Just stop.
And what's sad is there are a lot of artists out there who are great songwriters that make great tunes and make great beats or whatever it is, and the fact that they're not being sincere and genuine kind of puts you off a little bit.
Yeah.
So but from our conversation, I have to say the one thing that really, really stuck out was the fact that you weren't necessarily brought up in a home that was musically inclined, right?
Oh, yeah.
Music is kind of a passion that kind of came to you on your own. You said you had a distant cousin that, was into it, but really it was you.
Yeah. I knew he was into it well after I was already into it anyway.
Sure. So when did you did you get a sense of when you found out music was a passion of yours?
When it was I don't really know,
was there an age range somewhere, or was there a
I
song,
was literally
an album
in when I was in second grade. Damn, we about to get into it all. When I was in second grade, and this also has to do with the first two genres that ever made me fall in love with music, which is I think what I mentioned in the first interview.
Which was
rock and metal, actually.
Yeah.
So
what bands specifically do you remember?
And I think he was talking about
Slipknot
Quito as well. He was talking about I was one of the friends basically.
Oh, okay.
That was into
sure
everything at the time.
Sure.
And I didn't at the time start off with Slipknot really heavy, but I picked up with Slipknot a little bit through our other friends that we know.
Sure.
But what mainly kicked it off for me was when I first got a PSP, a little PSP.
I remember the little handheld.
Yeah, the little handheld original Sony PSPs, not fucking Nintendo Switches that y'all see now, I guess. But I had that shit.
Yeah.
And the first game I ever had on it was Rock Band 2, and that literally,
Wow.
Yeah, first game I ever had on it, and that literally, like, I played every single song, I played every single thing on there because I just utilized. It was my only game, so like I just fell in love with
the music that came with it.
Yeah, literally. And it was.
That's so funny because you know, and that's one thing that I'm finding out with your generation. In the podcast I had with Sanye, I had mentioned in the Wiz podcast, I realized that, you know, anime and especially video games really influence you guys in terms of the sound you guys gravitate towards, whether it be the playlist from the songs that the games produced or like the actual soundtrack of the sounds. You guys are heavily influenced by that, and it's just funny how much of an influence video games and anime has on hip hop today.
Yeah.
So
it was crazy. It literally like it birthed this like whole thing with me in music, and like it even helped why I even call myself Retro Halo, like why the retro is even a part of my name is because it had old metal, new metal, old rock, new rock, alternative rock, alternative metal, indie metal, like heavy, soft, scream, fucking you name it, punk, everything. And I heavily got into it all. They even had fucking EDM metal songs on there, and like it was just like.
So you're kind of like the aggressive kind of rhythmic kind of sound that went with like the metal. Is that what attracted
like
you?
It's crazy. Like I like everything. It's such a like music is just like this whole fucking thing with me. Like it's like insane. Like when I literally say like I can adapt to anything and everything, like I literally can because if it sounds good to me, then I like it. You know what I mean?
It resonates.
Literally. Yeah. So like, if it can either be a very hard, grungy song or sound, or it could be a very soft alternative song from any type of genre, metal, rock, hip hop, anything. Like, it just, I don't know, like,
if it resonates, it resonates.
If it fucking sounds good, if it sounds good, I want to listen to it, like, and that's just how I am, I guess.
Do you remember the first song or verse that you wrote?
No.
Do you remember what
I kind of do.
Like, not the actual words, but do you remember when you
wrote?
The
age was like 14, 15 when I started, like, producing mainly.
Okay,
that was when I was, like, writing on the side and I was producing mainly.
So you produced first?
Yeah.
What was your software?
So that's what I would just explain the whole thing. So basically, because of the whole love that I had for Rock Band 2 or whatever, and all the songs that I ended up like falling in love with, and those being my main genres, that eventually made me want to like be in a band at one point. So at one point starting, like I wanted to be in a band. I wanted to learn how to play the guitar, the drums. Like I wanted to like. At one point, I wanted to learn how to do all that, and I had other friends that wanted to do the same thing. So, like, I was just into that for a little bit. Always pictured myself doing that, but then eventually, acoustically, as I was just like experimenting with that, and during actually, which helped this part of me as well. Like during that, I also started to experiment. Like I said, like there were other parts of it that had EDM, like metal songs, EDM rock songs, techno rock, like all that. Like I got into all of that, and I also experimented more into house, techno, EDM, alternative house, like anything you can really think of, like in terms of there too. Like I just was just experimenting with and finding out what I really liked out of it. Because one thing about me is that like no matter the genre, I always want to know that I can actually have a song that I like out of the genre.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So like that's one thing that I always search for. And throughout all that, I was already experimenting a little bit with like instruments, especially at this old Boys and Girls
Like
Club.
learning how to play the instruments.
Yeah,
Okay.
and like especially at my old school, and then this old Boys and Girls Club that me and him used to go to and stuff. Yeah, sorry. This old Boys and Girls Club that me and him used to go to as well.
Yeah,
and
you and Keto.
Yeah, me and Quito. And I was just always experimenting there too. And shortly after, through there, and not just through there mainly though, but I was also doing a lot of, at the same time too. So like musically, at the same time while I was experimenting with all of that, we were like doing sports and shit too. And one of them was actually an extreme sport. We were biking and BMXing.
Yeah.
And then we also got sponsored by we first got sponsored by this one store named Mass Apparel a while ago. Like, it was fucking a minute ago.
Yeah.
When they first started, we got sponsored by them, and we're doing like, small shit here and there. But while that was happening while I was already doing my acoustic shit with my other music, whatever the fuck.
Sure.
That was during that phase of my life. And then, but because we got sponsored by them, they so happened to be friends with this one producer that we know. His name is Classic YHE, but his real name is Ben. He's literally like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care if I become on the same level as Drake. Like, I always like mention him because like he literally is like my mentor and like who like actually started me like, and Quito, how to like even like produce, like he was the one who really like first taught us like certain roots on
the
producing. And like our first software that we fell in love with was FL because of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so happened us being sponsored by this small store. They're friends with a producer who's trying to set up like a little studio in the back room as well at the store. And half the time I would pull up and
it's
then
like a no jumper situation
type shit. And half the time I would pull up and he would like, we'd just be cooking it in the store, but then I'd go in the back and then I'd just always hear him cooking up mad beats like in the back, and I'm like, yo, that's crazy. Like, who is this guy? Like, I eventually like introduced myself, like we introduced each other to each other, and like from there, like I don't know, like eventually I would just sit there and like always I would rather go there to then want to learn how to produce rather than what I was actually there for. You know what I mean? So I was just like, wow.
So that's how you know that's something you love.
Literally.
You know what I mean?
So like that, and I didn't even know until like he started actually like showing me certain little things, and I actually started hanging out with him more. Me and Ito started hanging out with him more, like just doing mad things in terms of producing, him teaching us mad things, us going to his crib, even eventually like starting to learn, like he had his little setup at home too, like us just like learning how to do mad things with beats, production, grounds in general, just mixing, mastering, literally like everything, tweaking, EQing, fucking everything. Like we just like we're doing everything with him, and that's how. And that was when I was around like 14, like when I started actually producing because of him. And that's when I made the change over from me just trying to learn acoustically how to play instruments to
production.
Just all putting it all in production.
Yeah.
And basically how I like to put it is like if you're producing, you're basically playing like every single instrument all in one software.
It's an arrangement. Yeah, it's exactly. You're just arranging multiple pieces together to make one cohesive, piece.
Yeah, and that's why I just said fuck it, and I just went full-fledged with that. And then that's when I was mainly producing, got more into the world of producing, and you know what I mean? That's
so you would say you're a producer first before you were, okay.
Yeah, and then but then obviously you're around, obviously, artists and rappers, and even Quito was mainly a singer at the time, so he was producing but also singing and rapping as well, and that's why he says like he technically started before me in terms of like rapping and songwriting and everything, because he was doing that first, and we also went to the same high school, me, Sonya, and him.
Same grade?
Not all different grades, but we all went to the same school, and we were all just around it, and I I don't know, like I just eventually like kind of wanted to like songwrite myself eventually.
That
So like I know it just happens a lot. Of course, everybody does eventually. You know, so like
whether it be Kanye, whether it be J. Cole, you know what I mean? Like they just end look what they're able to create. You know
literally,
I mean?
like
Some of icons of their generation.
Yeah, at first like I wasn't obviously that great, but like I just knew I had the right mind for music as a whole. So like I just, you know what I mean? Like
you know what sounds good.
I just knew that and what I wanted to deliver, you know? So like I'm just like, and as a musician, it also just feels amazing when you can just literally make what the fuck you want to listen to.
One
like,
of the best feelings.
Literally.
That's a high in itself.
Literally. You can literally make what you want to listen to. So it's just like, I don't know, on the side I was always just experiment with that, and then half the time he would ask me to get on songs with him, because like we would just always just like fuck around, just make any type of music that we can, just to like practice and do whatever we needed to, and sometimes hopping on beats I would make, like everything that we could basically think of, and that's just where it all started basically, where the whole love started for it, and eventually my songwriting grew, and now
I mean, because it's very.
I am the way I am.
Yeah, it's dope because if you look, you know, there are some tunes you can find, you know, on Spotify.
Yeah.
You know, some kind of he's got a video called Lemonade.
Yeah.
On a gentleman named Ben.
Ben Regular.
Ben Regular's page.
Yeah.
Another fire.
Shout out Ben.
Shout out to Ben. You know, and it's interesting to hear your story because, you know, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, you didn't necessarily grow up in a household that fostered the arts or music. It was more of a home that was geared towards the athletics.
Yeah, and in general, like, I was just always on my own thing, regardless. Like,
you were the black sheep in a way.
I'm the black sheep of the family on both sides, my mom and my dad's side. So, like, I'm just like, my family correlation's fucking weird, too. Like, I can break it down to you really quick. Like, I'm the middle child on both sides. On my mom's side, I have 3 siblings. My oldest sister and my younger brother were all 10 years apart. And exactly, yeah. And this whole other fucking weird thing with, like,
so
I'll get into
the
that.
Dominican side or the Puerto Rican side?
So that's also the weird thing. So my mom's half and half too.
Okay.
So I'm 75% Dominican and 25% Puerto Rican.
So you were raised Dominican
because of her, but I was raised both ways mainly. Okay. But she knows her Puerto Rican side more than her Dominican side. Okay. My dad knows his Dominican side more than his Puerto Rican side. So being raised, I was raised half and half. Gotcha. But I am more Dominican than Puerto Rican.
Gotcha.
But it's just this whole thing. But
yeah, it's complicated.
It is complicated. But like my older sister is basically Puerto Rican and Dominican herself, but she's more Puerto Rican because her dad is full Puerto Rican. So she's 75% Puerto Rican.
Gotcha.
And 25% Dominican.
Sure.
I'm the other way around.
Gotcha.
My little brother is just a mutt. He is Puerto Rican, Dominican, and Salvadorian.
How did that happen?
Because my mom got with a Salvadorian guy too.
Wow.
Yeah. It's wild. But there's a whole other correlation on my mom's side that I'll get into after the interview as well, because it's just like not for every single user or listener, but whatever. But that is that on there. And then on my dad's side, I have 2 older sisters, 2 younger sisters. They're both like very together. Like my 2 older sisters are very together, and my 2 younger sisters are very together all the time. Yeah. I'm the black sheep on that side as well. Gotcha. And in general, so then in total, I have 3 older sisters, 2 younger sisters, and 1 little brother. My 3 older sisters, they all have 1 kid, and they're all girls. What? Yeah, it's like fucking weird.
What's going on?
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, I keep noticing weird ass things, and if you want to, put it in numbers. Like I keep noticing the number 3.
All things comes in threes. You hear that a lot in life.
Yeah, I see that shit a lot. So I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know, but
and not to be dark, not to take a dark turn, but the saying, death comes in threes. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of things in life happen in threes, and maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but I've definitely noticed that.
Yeah, that's just the other thing as well. But yeah, like to sum it all up though, regardless, it's just to put like kind of like my family correlation in perspective. But yeah, regardless though, to get to the point, like I'm the black sheep.
Gotcha.
Let's just say
you're
on both
you're
sides.
Just different.
So I don't know. Like I just never. At one point, yes, I was, a little more family oriented, especially because I was playing sports a lot more. That was what my parents wanted me to do originally. Right? Yeah, but I just knew what I wanted to do in my life, and I live by that still to this day. Like, I don't give a fuck what it is, what it takes, who tells me not or who tells me different. Like, I'm doing what I want to do with my life, and I need to. Like, I'm never going to be happy if I don't do that.
That's a fact. No, that's a fact. And the fact that you know that at your age is very refreshing.
Yeah, I have to. Like, I have a lot of shit that I want to do with my life that is not going to just take,
That's not the approval of your family, you know what I mean? Like, or
even
expectations.
Yeah, that, and like, it's not like something I expect, but nor something that I have help with neither, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I do everything for myself in my life, so, like, that's just how I keep it, and I just move according.
Going back to, your family kind of being more geared towards athletics.
Yeah.
Because, it was more of a Dominican household. It was all about pelota.
Yeah. At least with my dad, especially. And then my mom just followed, like, because she's just, like, traditionally, like, that's just, like,
that's
the
what
want.
It is. Yeah. That's what it is. And for those who don't know, pelota is what Dominicans call baseball, which is their national sport. And it's a big, big part of the Dominican culture. I was looking into it, and the game has been in the country for over 100 years. It's been organized for about 80 years or so. There's actually a league down there of 6 major teams. In the seasons anywhere between October and February or so.
Yeah.
Does your family have a team? Is there a specific team that your family has?
Not necessarily. Just my dad always wanted me to be a part of the big leagues, though. So he wanted me to especially go down and actually like practice and train and act in the actual like professional fields down there now, which are now professional now.
I mean, they have great training down there. I mean,
in general, because it's just the hunger for it. Sure. But like now they have more like official places for it.
Yeah, it's more organized.
More organized. We can all like actually go train and practice. But
you've been to DR?
I haven't, but much when I was like younger though.
You've been to a game down there?
No.
Okay.
Surprisingly, no.
Okay.
I don't actually. Well, not that I remember, because I was very young when I went. But at least when I was playing, like seriously playing, no. Yeah. I was just out here mainly. But I was training a hell of a lot out here, like crazy. Like I was.
So tell me about that. So what did your baseball career look like?
It was just a part of my life. Like I would go to school, and then after school I would go to practice. And I like I said, at one point I even fell in love with it because I did it so much, and I just like found a way to actually like adapt to it and actually just say like, you know what, I am actually getting really good at this. I can actually make this a living. Let me actually try my best. I can.
Put in effort. You know what I mean? Like you get good at anything, it becomes addicting. 1 second.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Hello. Delivery.
Oh shit, he gonna get his food.
Yo, Sonya, can you do me a favor, bro? Can you grab the food from outside for me? Appreciate you, bro. What was I just saying? What was I saying?
Marco, open the door for him.
What was I just saying?
We were talking about
Oh yeah, so I was saying, so like
baseball.
So you get good at anything. Yeah, it becomes addicting because it's just like, all right, if I'm good at this, and I'm getting good feedback, that feeling you get from people, giving you the well-to-dos and the pat on the back, that becomes addicting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But was there a moment when you were just like, I don't want to do this?
When I literally found out that I was accepted for what I wanted to do in school.
So
which was when I got accepted to that high school that we all went
Boston
to.
Arts Academy.
Boston Arts Academy.
That's
literally.
fire.
And I was always doing art on the side though, like as well. So I'm a very fucking complicated nut. So what I also like to project about myself is that I'm not only just a musician, like I'm a full all-around artist as well. Like I love fashion, I love visual arts, I love photography, videography.
Like I said, you're multidimensional.
Everything, yeah. Like I do everything, and even and I apply that to my music. I produce, I sing, I rap, I write all my songs, I make my cover art, I drop all my things on every fucking platform by myself. I manage myself,
Sure.
You know what I mean. But I'm also a part of GOGTRS. You know what
Sure.
I mean. But we all
you guys are a collective, but you guys are individuals.
Yeah,
and
literally.
operate individually.
Literally. So yeah, that's just how I am in general.
So when you got accepted to Boston Arts Academy, I mean, did you have to break it to your folks? It's like, listen, I don't, because there's no sports there, obviously.
Basically, yeah. So I was already regardless, I was keeping up with both at the same times. You know what I mean? Just as a kid, and I don't know. I just remember how let's say especially at the Boys and Girls Club that I would go to, right? I would go to practice, but then after practice I got to go there, and then I'd still be just as happy painting a picture. You know what I mean, in the art room. Sure. And I don't know,
you just knew that this is more.
I just always fucking knew that I loved it, and then how much I loved music, I didn't. Especially how less educated I was upon art at the time. I didn't think it was all in one thing. I didn't know music can easily adapt to how paintings 100%. And visual art is, and how fashion applies to that, and how, you know what I mean? Photography, videography, fucking everything.
Unfortunately, there's not enough arts for the inner cities in the city of Boston.
Yeah. And I respect all of it though, and especially because of that. Especially with our city lacking that, especially I definitely wanted to search for that more, especially since it was something I've always loved early on, and I guess I'm amplifying it to the best I can now.
Yeah, no, and you most certainly are. You most certainly are.
Yeah.
And the thing about the arts and the athletics is that although they are two different fields, there are a lot of different ways that they do intersect.
Yeah.
Right. There's a performance element.
Exactly.
Right. They both have game days.
Even down to theater, performance arts.
Yeah. Right. And
I was a dancer as well.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay.
That's what I went to Boston Arts for. You
guys blowing.
I was fucking crazy.
You guys are so.
That's what I mean. I'm complicated. I was fucking literally doing everything.
So Sanye, who's a musician, went for theater.
Yeah, he was.
And you went for dancing.
Yeah.
And it's just, but music is what I know you guys for.
Because especially how I was in general. Yeah, it's for music, but how I was at least with that school, at the time before even getting in, I just knew I needed to fucking get into that school however I wanted to, whether if it was with music or through dance, because I was also at the Boys and Girls Club. They had a dance studio. I was always dancing there as well. Sure. And Guito even was dancing at one point in his life. Sure. And he's laughing because he remembers. It's crazy. But yeah, I especially was dancing for a while in my life, and then I remember when I was applying for the school at first, when he was telling me to do I was insecure about the music part still, because I wasn't as good at it still. So he was always just if you don't want to do that, see if you can get in with dance. And dance is actually the hardest department to even fucking do at that school. It's crazy, but I somehow got in for dance, and to graduate, I had to do everything, and I literally did all different I'm very well
like jazz, hip hop.
I'm very well educated on dance as well. Let's just say that. Like I did.
That's interesting.
I did fucking everything. And
I'm looking forward to see how you incorporate that.
That also fucking helps with music because dancing different styles teaches you about different music as well, and rhythm and everything, like different notes, how you apply your body to different notes and counts, timing, everything. Like
that's so dope, and that affects
I'm a
your
full
music.
Around artist.
Yeah, you're well rounded.
Literally,
well rounded.
That's crazy.
That's fire because like I said, with arts and athletics, there's a performance piece. Like in games, you have game day.
Yeah.
In performance, whether it be dance, you have a recital, you have a concert.
Yeah.
Leading up to those game days or performances, you have nerves you have to deal with.
Literally.
If you're in a game or a performance, if you mess up, the show must go on.
Literally.
You gotta act as if it never happened. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. You know what I mean? You gotta practice. You gotta acquire skills. Even though they are different paths and different lanes, there's a lot of intersection with that. And I can imagine that your time in athletics had to have helped you develop as an artist, as you kind of sought after more creative endeavors, right?
And you mainly know us, especially me, more now for music.
Sure.
Because you would have known me for music regardless, because I would have been doing this regardless.
Sure.
But I was actually, because I went to school for dance, like I was also on track to getting into college for it as well.
Sure.
Unfortunately, during college auditions, I got injured, which had me out for months. And I wanted to re-audition again eventually to try to get back into school for it. Yeah. But, like, my injury, like, literally made, like, I was literally out for, like, close to a whole year.
Is that a knee injury?
It was a foot injury.
Fuck.
Yeah, it was bad. But, I was out for that long, but all that ever gave me, time and energy for it was music. So I picked up a lot more with music, and I'm just like, obviously, I'm going to utilize this now because this is the second best thing I have on my table. Yeah. And I also just ended up going to community college for music. I went for entrepreneurship first because I just wanted to. Obviously, you eventually just know how to become an entrepreneur. Like, the more you do this anyway. Yeah. So I wanted to know more about it. But, like, that wasn't really necessarily, it was kind of wasting a lot of time at the time. So, like, I switched my major to music. And right before COVID happened, that's what happened. I was there for music. And then COVID hit. And then they were basically trying to make me learn what I already knew remotely. Yeah. So I just was like, fuck it, and I just went full-fledged, and I've actually been having a much more of a blast taking matters into my own hands.
Learning a lot more.
Rather than waiting.
And this is what all institutions are having issue with when it comes to your generation.
Yeah.
You guys see right through the bullshit. We did too. But we still play the game.
Yeah.
You guys refuse to play the game.
Yeah, I still understand the process, and that's the good thing about me, too, is because I understand both ends of that. I respect the process just as much as I see through the bullshit in the process.
Yeah, I mean, you respect the process, and you're still willing to put in the work.
Exactly.
But you're not going to waste your time doing work that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do work that does matter.
And I feel like, and I was telling this to one of my buddies who's in my age group, you guys are going to achieve a level of mastery much younger than a lot of us. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They say you got to put in your 10,000 hours, and I believe that to an extent, but you guys are able to get access to more information a lot more quickly, meaning that when you guys achieve that level of mastery, is going to be a lot more richer, a lot more dense, a lot more informed, a lot more modern, because you guys are going to cut right through the bullshit. You're not going to sit there and go through a 4-year program that you can essentially consolidate into 1 year. You know
and
what I'm
a full-year program that would only teach us one thing, probably.
And you can tell just by the way that they lay out the syllabus and the program that they're doing it just to stretch it out to make money.
And that's why I was telling you first-handedly before in the first interview that I value education through experience rather than on a piece of paper a lot more. That's because I'm the thinker versus the doer. I'm taking 20 minutes walking to the store rather than taking 20 minutes thinking about going to the store.
Sure.
Like, that already speaks within itself.
Yo, man, I'm looking forward to what you're able to come up with. You know what I mean? As you grow as an artist and as a man.
Yeah.
Developing in your craft. You know. You know, when I was going through your Instagram, I did notice that you had a couple of photos with guys like Conway, guys like Ski Mask.
Yeah.
And that you were.
Shout out to Conway and Ski.
Shout out to Conway and Ski.
I was texting Ski like a month ago, 2 months ago.
Seems like a cool cat, you know what I'm saying? Like
cool,
he seemed
bro.
like a real dude.
It's my boy.
Doesn't seem very Hollywood.
He's not. Like,
you know?
yo, it was crazy. I have weird ass stories with him, bro.
Yeah.
Me and Quito ran into him in Miami the second we landed. We landed at the same time, and we literally came out the same port. And he already knew me from the show. We been to, had on my birthday 2 years before that.
Okay.
So when I saw him, I'm like, he's like, I think Quito saw his car service waiting for him already.
Yeah.
So then he's like, I think somebody really famous is about to come out of here right now. I'm just like, I don't really think nobody's about to come out, bro. Yeah. And then he comes out, and then he's like, just walking, and I peep him at first. I'm like, but then I look down, I see his big ass fucking upside down pyramid chain. I'm like, oh hell no. Yeah, I'm like, Ski! Yeah. Yo, I yelled for his fucking name, bro. And he immediately turns around. He's like, oh, what's good, bro?
That's what's up.
We just catch up, and then he surprisingly, and you can look this up later, during that weekend was when, let me see, I think it was Trippy and Ski's song off of Trippy's new album, Demon Time.
Okay.
Well, his newly released album, Demon Time. That's not the album. The song Demon Time is on that album. Yeah. But they were shooting that video that same day, and that's what Ski was landing for on the way.
Okay.
So he was already about to go link up with Trippie Redd, and he invited me and Quito later on to go actually pull up and
experience it.
Obviously network as well, but definitely experience the shoot and everything, and
what was that like, man?
We didn't actually end up going. We didn't go, but he gave me his number during that exchange, and we were actually gonna pull up, but shit kind of fell through last minute. But it's so funny too, because we still, even when shit fell through, we still drove by though last minute, because we were eventually gonna pull up, but we still drove by and still saw everything, and it was the setup we been knew Ski and Trippie were about to shoot that video before the whole world even fucking
that's gotta
suspected
be inspiring,
it.
man.
And it was crazy, and I was already out there in Miami doing other shit regardless anyway. I was already supposed to be out there for other shit, and I was already gonna be recording a lot of music out there especially with Quito anyway. Yeah. And just running into him again on that separate occasion, it was just fucking lit.
And also seen you. I've seen clips of you on stage at pretty large. Events. Now, are those Vic October events, or what events are those?
Those are. What do you mean, Vic October?
Isn't Vic October isn't he a promoter? Because I noticed on your page.
Joshua October. Yeah, Joshua.
No. Who am I thinking of?
Joshua October.
His name Joshua October.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Joshua October.
But it wasn't
Joshua October.
It was shout out my bro. But it wasn't his event. These are just different shows that I've been to.
But why are you on stage?
Because
you're that guy.
That's for after the interview, I guess. But it's not even I'm not that guy. I'm an artist too, you know what I mean? So it's not, I'm there for the work. I'm not there as a fan, you know what I mean? So I'm already there for a reason. So half the time when I'm at these shows, it's for those reasons. I'm either there to network, or I'm either there just for the hell of it, because I just want to pull up to that show, or because I actually have people that I already know that are there.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, it's more of a collective show that
Yeah.
we're all trying to, you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
there's so many different reasons as to why, like,
But you out there,
show,
though. You outside, though. You're
I'm
outside,
in it for
though.
I'm in it for what it actually is. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not gonna get anywhere by just sitting in my room all day. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And some people are fortunate enough to do so, but not me, at least. That's not how I was raised, and that's not what I've at least seen the most success through.
And that's refreshing because, you know, that is the plight of the traditional Boston artists, is that we stay in the city. You know, some artists are, you know, rise to the top and get a buzz in the city.
Yeah.
And it dies down.
Nah, let's just say, like, I was already tapped in heavily, like, as a producer alone, like, just with mad Boston artists and a lot of Boston artists that are now big today that have just recently kind of upped the bar with their artistry. Like, I've already been tapped in with them, like, years prior.
Okay.
Just off the strength of just being a producer, because I was trying to tap in with artists, produce for artists. So you have a pretty large
network in the Boston area, would you say?
Type shit, yeah. The fashion was a big part of it as well. Like,
okay.
I just know a lot of people from my school are also in this type of, like, Boston scene as well. So, like, I don't know. I guess it just all works out. It just all worked out in general, like, because it, like, I mean, I wouldn't be doing it years later if it wasn't something meant to be. So it all just, like, panned out and worked out the way it should have, I guess, you know?
What are your thoughts on collaborations? I mean, you sound like you have a pretty large network.
So as big as my collaborative, like, networking field is, especially with many different artists that I know out of the city, I greatly enjoy making music by myself because I love just, like, I cannot be told shit when I'm making music. Like,
it sounds like it.
When I'm making music by myself, and it's actually what I want to listen to as well, you know what I mean? But I still obviously work with other artists, especially, like, people who are, like, mainly what you've mainly been seeing, like, any, like, features that I'm on or, like, artists that I've worked with were just mainly people who are already around my main, like, circle of people that I'm doing work with. You know what I mean? But after these next 2 albums that I'm about to drop, I'm definitely trying to up the bar collaboratively with a lot of different artists out of the city, not just from the city, but out of it as well. And I'm just trying to I'm already down to work with everybody, and I'm already working with a lot of people anyways. But what I'm projecting is, like, motherfuckers are going to figure out and find out who I am first before,
that makes sense.
You figure out who I am with somebody else.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
100%,
like, that's just, and that is still going to be delivered through me and through Wiz and through Quito and through everybody else as a collective still. So
no, that's dope because it's usually the other way around. You know, usually it's a very clout-driven industry. And people will ride on other people's coattails in there to get on. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that you want to make your mark and stamp your identity in the game before you associate yourself with other people. I think that's dope because because there will be no confusion on who Retro is and what his sound is. You know what I'm saying? Like, he established that before he collaborated with somebody else. So no one can say that he took this style or he this, that, and the other. You know?
When you listen to my music, like, you just know it's retro music. Like, it's just like me. Signature. And in general, though, like, of course, there are definitely artists out there that I 100% want to work with. But, like, I'm a very big time and place type of guy as well. So, like, you know, the time will come when it happens. Exactly. When it happens, exactly. But meanwhile, I'm definitely gonna be fucking putting in all the damn work I can into my own artistry until I get to that point. And whoever comes along that path with me, like, while I'm doing that, so be it. But if not, then whatever. I'm here. I'm gonna do it regardless. That's just one thing about me, I'm gonna do it regardless. So,
well, young man, I appreciate you. I appreciate your music. I appreciate your approach more than anything.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking forward to your future works. Be on the lookout for Retro Halo. He has 2 projects that he will be dropping this year.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully before the summer or during the summer and sometime after that. He does have some music out there that you can check out right now. He has a video called Lemonade on Ben Regular's channel.
Exactly.
Hopefully we'll have him on the show as a guest. Hopefully we'll have you on, to help promote your project.
Definitely.
And I appreciate you coming by.
Definitely,
Thanks,
bro.
man.
I'm always gonna come by. Don't worry.
I appreciate you, brother.
Definitely.